All right, and aloha to you there, Q&A. How are you, man? Good to see you. Welcome, everybody, to the Coffee Q&A. This is your daily dose of coffee Q with a 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'm Jay, your host here on the Onocoffee channel. Thanks for tuning in. How's everything going? Aloha's a funny word, isn't it? For people that are living in Hawaii, it's just aloha, right? Really kind of short. But then if you go there as a tourist, you're always going to go someplace and there's some guy that's giving you a tour and he's going to be like, well, I want to tell you, all of you, and aloha. If you walked around Honolulu and you walk up to somebody at, let's say, the Safeway or or if you're on the Big Island, the KTA, they're like, hey, how are you? We're like, aloha. They would look at you like you're some kind of crazy person. Dan, good morning to you as well. So today, a little bit different, just a little bit looser in that we've got an event tomorrow at Capital Cigar and Tobacco down in Bethesda, Maryland. George and I are collaborating on this to give a coffee and cigar tasting where we're taking this coffee, the Guatemala Huehuetenango. In the world of like contract coffees, that's fairly clean. That's a very nice coffee. And that carries over into specialty as well. Although in specialty, a lot more, depending on what part of the specialty world you're in, you may be trying to go for more zero defects rather than, a European prep. American prep, I think, is 15 defects for a 300-gram sample. Rusty says, just like ordering a Hawaiian pizza in Hawaii, they look at you. Do they look at you? I've never done that. Like the idea of, I've eaten it. Okay, I've eaten it. It's not horrible, but the idea of putting pineapple in your pizza, yeah, it's just a strange thing. I don't know what Kyori thinks about that. Oh, is the audio not working? Oh, well, that's good. I've been talking now for the last 2 minutes, and I hit the wrong button. There's a button on here that I'm supposed to hit in order to turn the audio on. And so I've just been babbling for the last, anyway. Or did I hit it again? I don't know. Anyway, so like I said, I'm going to presume that you guys heard all that. But if you go to Hawaii and you're like, I don't know what people do, ordering Hawaiian pizza. Do people even do that? Keone, do you know people that do that in Hawaii? Do they order pizza? And Rusty, did you order Hawaiian pizza in Hawaii? You know what I miss about Hawaii? Like the last time I was, not the last time, but maybe it's been a few years. It's been more than a few years. I was hanging with your brother and sister and your mom. We're at your mom's house. And man, they bought some of that Rosalani ice cream. I think Rosalani's made in Maui. Oh man. That's something I think about once in a while. One of my friends in the cigar world, he's from local boy. He's like posting, he's smoking a cigar with some Rosalani ice cream. And I was like, oh. So for those who are not familiar, there's a local ice cream company in Hawaii called Rosalani, like Rose Lani. And they're a local ice cream maker. I always forget about them. And then when I see it or I try it again, I'm like, oh, it's so good. It's really, really good. Of course, we don't have anything like that here. So who knows? Rusty says, I did not order, but I was behind a person who did. Okay, was the guy a local guy or was he a tourist? Who was ordering that in Hawaii? Mom, good morning to you as well. And Kyori says, Hawaiian pizza was actually first made in Canada. So there's really nothing Hawaiian about that. Most local people don't. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first moved to Honolulu in 88, pizza wasn't even really a big deal. It wasn't really a big deal. So I don't know. And actually, my cousin, about a year or maybe 2 years ago, he sends me a text and he's like, dude, check this out. So in the 90s, there was a guy from Boston and they opened up a company called Boston's North End Pizza. And they opened a few locations. It got really popular. And my cousin was at the one in Aiea. And he sent me this picture because on the wall, I guess in Aiea, they put all these photographs of customers over the years, and him and I are in one picture from like 1990, I don't know, 2, 3, 4. And I was like, I was like, whoa, that's crazy, man, crazy. So there is some evidence that I existed in the world at one point. Anyway, so like I said, we're doing this Guatemala Huehuetenango from Huehuetenango in Guatemala, single SHP, strictly hard bean, heavy density, grown above 1,300 meters, and European prep below 8 secondary defects per 300 gram grain sample. Okay, so we're going to use that roasted to a nice medium. And this is the coffee we're going to pair with the cigars tomorrow. So if you have the time, come to Bethesda. We're going to have this. And George has selected 3 different EPC, Ernesto Perez Carrillo cigars. One of them is a pledge, and I wrote down the other ones, and I don't recall. But the idea is that we're going to have 3 different preparations for that. We're going to use cold brew for the first cigar, French press for the second, and then pour over for the third. So you'll get the chance to try 3 different cigars with 3 different preparations of the same coffee. So we'll see how that goes. And so since the first round is cold brew, I got to prepare that. So I figured, let's go over that again. I know we did this last Friday's episode, but different coffee. So maybe a little bit of different results, maybe a little bit of different approach. And yeah, let's do that. So we're going to, like as you can see here, we got the nicely roasted coffee. It actually has a really nice smell. Like, actually, that's really pleasant. Like, I really wanted something that was, like, this is not like your wild, outrageous coffee. I wanted to start off with the tasting with something a little bit more familiar, something very approachable. And I think this meets that deal. It's got nice notes of cacao and, just warm coffee tones, really just kind of friendly to people's palates. And that's why I chose this one. I think it really is nice in that respect. So we brought that in, and yeah. And so, like, remember yesterday we added or the other day we added a little bit of peach. We brewed it with the peach, and that actually kind of gave it like brightness to it, which is really, I thought that was really interesting. And I used it in last night's live stream, and I was, we need to measure out coffee first. So let's measure out some coffee. We're going to make a half gallon of coffee for the event, which means, and so we're going to do a cold brew. So basically like a toddy, full immersion cold brew. And that means we'll get about a full gallon of coffee for this, and which should be plenty, I think, should be plenty for what we're going to be doing. So we need 453 grams, 228 grams. So 453 grams is 1 pound. So half of that, 228, more or less. That could be 227 or whatever. Hope I put enough coffee in here. 227. Good enough. Okay, so now we're going to get our trusty Baratza Virtual. So now we've always had it set to the 20, the center position, which is what we use for pour over. So now we're going to go all the way coarse. I got to turn it on because, sometimes I'll set it to on the coarse setting, and if you go too far, it won't work. So got to go. There we go. That's maximum coarseness. And then now we're just going to get our coffee and scoop it in. Now, of course, this coffee is 227 grams is a lot more coffee than the capacity of this little hopper. So we're going to transfer it into our container. And you can use any container that you have. I mean, I just have this lying around. This is a Cambrotainer, what we call Camtainers. This is a full gallon, right? So that's graduated here. You can see the graduations. And it's fairly easy. These are really popular in food service restaurant kind of applications. This one I've been using for many years. Oh, that must be 60 grams. So let's take that now. And let's have a look at our coarseness. Yeah, that's good. Put that in here and continue on. So since we're using 60 grams, we're going to have 4 separate fillings. I got to put more coffee in. Got an action can. I see that Peter likes Hawaiian pizza. So yeah, Keone says that your grinder dances as it grinds, and that's true because here on this grinder, I've got this is the Brazza Virtuoso, right? The Brazza Virtuoso is just this. Now this lower part here is what they call the Isato, and the Isato is this attachment that you put on the base. Let me zoom out so you can see that more. But like here, oh, there's my Opal. We don't want to see that. As you can see here, there's this base on it. And what this base does for original early production virtuosos, even the later production virtuosos, they made this base so that you actually have the ability to dose by weight. So this is a whole weight control here. So you can have, let me just lift it up here. You can have 3 different settings. Right, 1, 2, 3. Like this is programmed for 60, this is programmed for 30 and 24. And then you can adjust the weight, and then you just hit the start and stop button, right? And so there's a little scaly thing here. It's hard to see with the lighting, but there's a little weight there, so you grind it by weight, which I really liked. And so we brought a bunch of these in for sale at the shop when they first came out quite a number of years ago. Nobody really buys them because they're kind of expensive, but I think they're a great device. But on the bottom here, you can see there are feet. Right, there's these like rubber feet, and as you can see in the 2 opposing corners, the rubber feet are missing. So as you're noticing the wobble, that's because the feet are missing, and it is wobbling. It is totally wobbling. All right, let's go back to this thing. Is also a little bit getting old and more fussy. Like this. Look, it's not working now. Oh, because why isn't that working? Safety device, because you have to put this in there, so it's maybe not so fussy. There we go. All right, excellent. So as you can see, we got some ground coffee and grinding coffee. We're going to add a little bit more of our coffee to it. Now we'll put it all in. We're ready to go. Uh-oh. We're hearing a little bit of stoppage, meaning that there's some kind of thing preventing the coffee from falling. Like they're kind of in this matrix that prevents it from falling into the hole. So we just give it a shake, and then it continues on. We don't normally have this issue because we're typically grinding just to order, and 24 grams at a time doesn't really lend itself to too many problems. But if you wanted to use this in a way where you kept the hopper full with this Isato, you could just do that, and you could just program your buttons, and it would automatically, you grind whatever much you need. But we don't do it that way. But nowadays, with the newer versions, the modern version of the Virtuoso, I believe they have the weight built into it, so it's much more compact. It doesn't have this huge base. A lot nicer in that respect. Uh-oh. Peter says, I guess what? I got my Switch in today in the mail, and it came. Oh man, that sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. So which part broke? Was it the glass that broke on the Switch? And did they not pack it correctly? Like, did it get crushed somehow? I mean, like, I think with the Switch, it's fairly well. Let's have a look. I don't know for sure what might have been the case, but that's a disappointment. That's a very big disappointment. like here's my switch, and I don't know if your switch is the same. Okay, so we've got all of our coffee there. So let's put it all in there. We got all 227 grams are in. So this is my switch, right? This is the one I picked up in Japan. One small bubble wrap. Oh, the glass broke. So how would that happen? Like, so was the box crushed at all? I mean, I think about this, and I put this in my check-in around clothing. Like, it kind of floats. Of course, this particular box, I don't know if your box is the same. I presume that it is. Kind of holds it in place so it doesn't really bang around. Like, perhaps, did they not pack it the same way? I mean, gosh, that's a shame. I hope you got it from a reputable dealer so that and they'll replace that, because, I mean, like, I can't imagine, like you would have to really. We have baboons from mailmen. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. I know you've been waiting quite a while for this thing and excited to get it. And well, hopefully they'll rectify your situation on that. Let us know what happens. I'm disappointed myself to hear that. All right, so now we've got our coffee. And like I said, this kind of cold brew brewing is very simple. It's not, it doesn't have to, like, in coffee, we like to make things look very complex, right? Like coffee professionals, or people on the internet, we like to make it look like, oh, we're doing some kind of magic that is elusive to most people, that we hold some kind of wild secret. It's coffee. We're just extracting the flavor out of this ground roasted bean. It's not science. I mean, there's science, but it's not like it has to be difficult. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to take this, and now we've got 227 grams. We're going to go with half a gallon, right? Half a gallon of water, just enough to saturate, and then that'll be it pretty much. And then tomorrow, before I head off to the event, I will filter it out, probably put it into a big Chemex and filter it through the Chemex, unless I can go to the warehouse and find the toddy brewer that I have that can filter out the toddy. But really simple. So let's just get to it. We're going to take our water. We're just going to pour it in, just like that. Just like that. Like, people want to do this whole. Let me get this other piece. A lot of them would do something like, we're going to pour this in, right? We're going to saturate all this grounds. I'm not going to saturate anything. I'm just going to do this, right? Just do that. Slosh it around. We can just slosh it. We don't have to use if you don't want to use a spoon, don't use a spoon, because you got to clean the spoon, right? You got to clean the spoon. This way, we're just going to slosh, slosh, slosh. Now, when I'm making a 5-gallon container of cold brew, I got to say, I tried it once, and I've been tempted to try it again and again and again. But there's something sensuous about putting your hand in 5 pounds of ground coffee soaking in water. There's a sensuous experience to it. I know that it's not that coffee people are normal. We're actually kind of weird. And think about weird fetishes like that. Okay, so we've got a little bit of whatever that is, crema going on, that is not stirring. Now I am going to get the spoon and get in there and give it a good stirring, because that's just honestly, that is just bothering me. All right, now we've got it nicely well combined. Keone asks, would you infuse something as you do cold brew? Yeah, why not? Why not? I will not do that for this, only because this has a very specific intent. But that's something we certainly could do, for at the new. I had never even thought about that, to be honest. Not really, and so that's an interesting thought. So, for at the new shop, you can certainly take something like this in small quantities, because the ratio is the same, right? We're still using 2 grams per finished ounce, right? So now we're going to make a full half gallon of the brew, and that should give us, to there when we're done, of coffee, which should be plenty. There's only going to be 12 to 15 people that we're expecting at the tasting. Now, if all of you guys come, and it's like 40 people, then kind of hosed. I'll be kind of hosed in this respect, but c'est la vie, c'est la vie. Anyway, but yeah, you could totally, like we did yesterday with the peaches, put the peaches in and let it soak, and then try how it turns out. I mean, actually, that could be really great. And now, with thinking about that and the effect that peach had on our brew yesterday, makes me kind of disappointed that we're going to be opening in the fall when there's no more peaches. Well, maybe next summer. Peter says, "I wonder if I could just buy a new glass." You can. I mean, I'm sure. I imagine they would. But where did you get the switch from? All right. So pretty much now that's it. We're just going to take our lid. Well, I guess I could add a little bit more water. Let's add a little bit more water. Why am I adding a little bit of water? I don't know. With this kind of brewing, since we're infusing the coffee into the water, and we're eventually going, and it's going to create a concentration of coffees that we're going to dilute. I'm less concerned about exactly how much water we're putting in, because it's going to extract over the next 24 hours. It's going to extract pretty much all the flavor components out of it. And then when I separate it, I'm going to have this concentrated liquid that is brewed to ratio to the half gallon that we need. So I'm not too worried about that. We'll just set that aside. But what we do want to do, we want to make labels. We always make labels, right? So I'm one of those guys that uses green tape or some kind of masking tape. And as you can see here, I'm kind of one of those psychos that likes to cut my tape with scissors. And this is how we train our staff to do it, right? Our staff does it this way at Brew. And people think, I know people think it's crazy, but you know what? To me, you put this like this cold brew, 8:30. And in this case, we could put the time, 10:22. You put an A if you want. And then I like to put it. So here's the thing. It's not for me. It's not enough just to put it on the container. I want to put it like on this where there's gradations. I want to put it like right there. Now I would like it to be centered and level. I don't always make it. Sometimes it'll be a little skewed, and I'm like, okay, I'll just leave it that way. But when I open a fridge or someplace where we're storing a bunch of containers, and I see them with labels like this, there is a level of like euphoria that I feel. So I'm just like, again, okay, maybe that's a little bit psychotic, but you're not here for sanity, right? That's what I think about. Dan says, I've heard you might be able to buy one of the metal DV60 detached from the handle and use the silicone. They have, as we've tried, I think with one of the brewers, you can fit some of the other types in it. But I think that that's something to do for fun, not to do out of necessity because your glass is broken. I mean, I'm guessing that you're probably thinking about this because you want to use the device right away, and that's totally understandable. But I definitely think that you should give the vendor the opportunity to make it right. Kenny says, I have to put the Hario Mugen on the switch base when I take it on the road as the Mugen is plastic. Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And Peter says, the switch glass has an opening like bottle lip, and it's real. Yeah, you know what? Remember, I don't know if you recall, but that one day we did that here. Like I remember that on that live stream, I was pulling on it, and I was like, oh man, I'm scared I was going to break it. But I think what it is when it's all brand new and it's press fitted together, it just is really tight because, man, I was talking to you guys when I did it, and now it comes off fairly easily. But like, I remember that first time I was totally on the live stream, I was totally freaked out about it. Like I was like, I'm going to break it. But really, it's fairly thick glass, right? Look, if it's a fairly thick piece of glass that, I think, they must have really done something to, I wonder how hard they dropped it or something. Yeah, but you just pull it. I will say that I almost promise that it will not break, or actually, it's already broken. So, oh, is it? So it's not broken and out of the. It's actually jagged and in the. Yeah, well, then be very careful. Like maybe get a big towel and use that too, because if there's shards, you don't want to cut your hand, of course. And that would just give insult to injury, or injury to insult. Yeah. Keone remembers that. Oh, good. Yeah. I don't think it's the vendor's fault. The box was crushed, like someone jumped on it. Oh God, really? How can you make a claim with the postal service? Because that seems. First of all, we're able to get pictures, like what they say in like. And I don't know if they talk about this where you live, but at least here, when people talk about needing to make claims on damaged deliveries, one of the first things to do is really to get your phone out, and when you see the box, and take pictures of the condition of the box. So it's always a combination of condition of the, you want to check the condition of the box, and shipping companies are fairly standardized in that they always say that if you want it to be properly protected, you should have 2 inches of padding. So, for example, if this is the box, right? And I do think that this is a fairly good job by Hario in how they package it in their retail packaging, right? But what they say is that you're supposed to have, for shipping, this should be in a box that is surrounded by 2 inches of insulation or some kind of protection, right? Some kind of protection, so that it will be, so that as it gets bounced around, it will be fine. And it's sometimes you may run into a situation where if it wasn't packed that way, your shipping company may try to decline that. But I mean, we're talking about something that's crushed, and if you have evidence of that crushing, that can help make your claim. But I do believe that you can order just the glass by itself. I do believe that is available. But that sucks, man. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know, and I don't know the laws in Australia, right? Or other parts of the world. I don't know the laws, but I think that even if it's not insured, I mean, this is like, if it's crushed, that could be. Let's put it this way: if you reach out to them, like if it's crushed, that seems more like negligence, that you wouldn't have to worry about insurance. That was certainly they would have to cover, right? But the reality is that you got a broken switch. You're disappointed. Might as well try to make a claim on it and see if they'll replace it. Because you know what? If they say no and it doesn't work out, you're still in the same position that you are at the moment. It's not like you would have lost more. You just would have, a little bit of time and effort. Maybe got a replacement for free versus having to go buy another one. So just a thought. I mean, yeah. All right. So we got our Kobe ready. Very sorry to hear about your switch. I'm sure you got it on a Friday. You're all like, I'm going to use it all weekend, and now you can't. Now, where you live, though, are there suppliers of coffee equipment? Like, are there cafes that you can buy brewers and stuff? Because like Keone says, the Mugen does work. And and I used another brewer here. I don't recall what brewer it was, but we used something else that I put in the switch. Let me see if I can find that, or whatever that was. I don't even remember what it was now. Yeah, I don't recall what we used in it, because the V60s that I have are all they're all just single piece. Oh, I think what it was, that's what it was. I didn't have a different jar or glass or bowl. What I did was I used the V60, the Swiren, right? The Swiren. Dan says the copper-plated V60 would probably work, but not by. Well, it is kind of pretty. just contact the company you got it from. They probably would like to know, as they may charge delivery companies if it happens. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Definitely reach out to the company that you got it from. You know, they might be willing to work with you on something. So like I said, with this, the Hardy V60, you know, that uses this, with the Sweerin, that's what I'm saying. Like some of them are interchangeable. The ones that have the bowls that come out, because I think we did take this, pulled it out, and it sat in that? No, what did we use? We used some, I would have sworn we used something that fit in something else. Maybe not, but it should work. It should work. It should work. All right. Sorry, I don't have any definitive answers on that one. Well, that's a little bit of somber tone for the beginning of our weekend. Peter says, once I purchased some coffee green beans and the beans were leaking out everywhere. I emailed them telling the vendor to package it better next time. But I realized it was the custom officer checking for, oh gosh, yeah, those guys are always doing something. I mean, there's always the difference between, in that case, you know, it's hard to do something with government. But so I'm presuming that means that you got your switch from outside the country and they shipped it in. I mean, but still, the crushing of the box is a little bit extreme. It may be a little extreme. You may be able to use the origami with the switch bottom. Origami. Let's see. Right now, the nice thing is that everything's kind of in the basement here. But when we moved to the new place, I don't know what I'm going to put at the new shop. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if there'll be. So you can use. I'm sure you could use the origami, right? We're going to take the origami. Take this out. See, as you do this more, it becomes very easy to remove. Okay, so here's the origami. Now it's just going to sit on top there like this. Yeah, I don't know if that's. Because the origami doesn't have a way to seal with the nub. There's actually, like, as you can see here, there is this little like lip that actually there's a groove in here that it fits into that gives it a seal. There's no groove here. Like this would just kind of be more of a pour over setup for it. So I mean, it will work. I mean, it will sit on it and you could brew through it, but I don't know if that will be it won't give you the same results, unfortunately, as the switch would with the full immersion. Bottle lip. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. All right, so just put that. Gosh, yeah. Take it out carefully, because yeah, you don't want to see you get injured. All right. Anyway, actually, I have a training that I have to give today. Training new baristas at a client's restaurant. A friend of mine has a restaurant. They're opening a new coffee shop next weekend, the 7th. So they would need to go some training. The girl working with evidently has experience, 4 years working for another coffee company. So it's really more about familiarizing them, working with them a little bit, and getting used to using this Aurelia Wave from Nova Simonelli. Nice machine. Really, I was using it yesterday. Went over there yesterday to do some practicing with it to make sure that I was familiar with what I'm talking about. Eduardo says that it doesn't work, it will leak. Unfortunately, yeah, that looks like to be the case. You'll need to use the V60 with the origami inside. Okay. Oh, you have to wait till your traffic. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that, Peter. I can say that the Mugen does work. I think because the Mugen has that lip at the bottom, so that might be something. Order the Mugen. And you could use that. Or, I'm sure, I can't imagine, I don't know for a fact, but I cannot imagine that they do not have replacement glass for it. Or worst comes to worse, you got a broken piece of switch. You really need to replace it. Like it's an important, monumental thing that must happen. So it may just require a trip to Tokyo to visit Union Coffee and look for and get replacements for it. I mean, it's the only sensible thing to do. Should go next week. Don't waste time. And then you go visit Cocoon and Cafe Mamia Coqueru and go see some really interesting coffee. I really want to go to those places. Eduardo says that the V60 glass has that lip. The base is removable. Ah, yes. I don't have V60 glass here. That's a good point. I mean, but which I imagine is probably this. They're just reusing it, right? So that's got to be available. All right. So I must run to go do this training. I got to be there in about an hour, and I still have to go grab some more coffee for them. So that's pretty much it for today with our cold brew that we're going to use tomorrow. So if you happen to be in the area, down in Bethesda, Maryland, Capital Cigar and Tobacco, 12 noon to 3 p.m. We're going to do tastings of coffee with cigars, the Ernesto Perez Carrillo line. So come join us. If not, have a wonderful weekend. Be back again on Monday with more coffee Q&A. Mom, thanks to see you. Eduardo, Keone, Peter, sorry about your mishaps there. I will see all of you guys later, and have a great weekend. Anytime, Eduardo, anytime.